that was written up in the IPMS journal that came out a few weeks ago.
Right.
What's that?
Yeah.
It's in a quarterly.
What Rick was talking about.
Cool.
Yeah, it's in IPMS journal. We're famous.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Infamous.
All right, so it's a quarter till 8. We're kind of running behind a little bit, but I want to give Wes enough time to do his demo on painting.
Well, so it was supposed to be airbrushing, but the stuff I use can kill you in a small room like this. So,
Well, hey, maybe
So what's the
before you
problem,
get
man?
to
Bring it
no,
on.
No, tell him, seriously.
What?
He thought I was kidding him.
oh, the
Yes.
condition model stuff.
Yeah.
Huh?
Tell him.
Being lacquer base.
Oh, I don't know. I spray it down in my basement. Nothing.
Yeah, it's
that
more,
explains a lot, maybe.
yeah, it's more volatile than the
All right, Wes, take. It's all you, man.
All right. So mostly it was going to be an airbrush demo, but again, most of the stuff I use is lacquer based or urethane, which you need respirators for, or some sort of mask to use if you're going to be spraying it, especially like in a small room.
Well, that'd help us with the space if you don't have
Yeah, I'd also probably be in prison for that. But I brought some of the True Color paints that they're carrying here at Mark Twain. I know Kevin, Jerry wanted me to talk about them because they're relatively new to the automotive paints. They've done a lot of model railroad colors, and they're now starting to transition into automotive and
armor
as well,
and
right?
aircraft,
Yep. So, and I know a lot of you guys have seen some of the stuff that I brought, in previous meetings before. This is True Colors, the metallic aluminum bright blue, and it's what the bottle looks like there. Zoom in on that.
Do you thin it?
Yeah, it's lacquer based, so it is a 1-to-1 thin with lacquer thinner, or I use RU311 from House of Color.
House of Color, good stuff.
Yep, smells good too. I'm not really that messed up, I swear.
Need a second opinion?
Yeah, I shouldn't say that with a couple of you guys in this room. But it lays down really smooth. They do have their own primer, which I haven't tried out yet. But a lot of their metallic colors, their tint colors, which is like a candy color for you car guys, works really well over base coats, silver and gold bases. Sprays just like a candy, so it's going to need multiple coats. Real thin, so that particular with the tints, you can over thin that pretty easily. I've done that a couple times. But other than that, the True Colors for the most part lay out really nice. I know even for like maybe some figures, or I know armor wouldn't really do any good with some of the metallics, but some of the figures or even like fantasy stuff, they have good colors that pop. I just picked up some new colors down in Texas this past weekend that they claim they can shoot straight from the bottle. I've yet to test it though, so we'll see. They're supposed to be mixed differently. But the other paint that I brought is Scale Finishes, and it's another independent company. Really good paint. They carry both enamel based and lacquer based. This is base coat, clear coat here. This 41 Willis is painted in Ford Calypso, which Howard, I know you know that color pretty well.
Pretty color.
This isn't enamel based, this particular one here. I don't really use enamels anymore. When I ordered it, I didn't realize it was. It took forever to dry. It took about 3.5 weeks for it to fully cure.
They're a little thicker and they don't thin as well.
Yeah, it actually laid down really nice. But went back, looked like it was dry. Kind of do the fingernail test with it and see in an inconspicuous area. Really soft still, and took about 3.5 weeks. I have a 60 that's drying still right now in a different color. But if you guys go scalefinishes.com, they have a list listed on there, enamel and lacquer, so that you do make every color in both. If you guys do decide to order them, make sure you go with the lacquer base coat.
What do they retail for?
About $6.95 a bottle for I think this is 2-ounce bottle, and the enamel's going to be a little bit cheaper, but the base coat's well worth the extra couple bucks.
Is that right out of the brush, or did you wax that thing?
No, this has been polished and buffed.
Oh, okay.
And that's the other part of the demo, since I wasn't going to be able to do the airbrush. Talk about some of the products I use and going from the primer stage all the way to the finish stage, which I know a lot of the guys that do cars have been hounding me to give away some of my secrets. So some of the guys aren't here tonight actually that have been
Steel
hounding me.
finish has
Thank
also
God.
got acrylic.
Yeah, they do have acrylic too.
And the acrylic you can shoot straight from the gun.
Right.
Straight through the gun.
Right. So, and I think I've mentioned this before with paint. I mean, everyone has their own preference. I use a wide variety of colors and companies. You know, it just depends on what color you're looking for and what you're looking to do with your subject matter. The 63 Impala up here, this is a new one that I just finished. This is a House of Color, Lake Violet Pearl.
What's in the room? In the trunk.
Is that hydraulics?
It's a low rate.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
California lowrider. You know.
Is that the parts you scratch built?
Yeah, all the stuff that you guys saw on the web page.
What used for chroming?
The pin was chrome. The dumps were chrome with the pin,
Yeah.
the Motlow pin. The pumps are machined aluminum. The backing plates are machined aluminum, and all the hard line is bent with crimp beads for fittings
Cool.
on there. It's been a work in progress for a while, but was one that I had the last little bit of this color, and it just happened to turn out just really, really well. Yeah, thank you. And it's all from the pumps and everything. That's aftermarket. The batteries actually do come with the kit. It is a low 2-in-1 lowrider kit, if you will. Pretty much other than that, just the motor detailing that I usually do and Pegasus wire wheels. Quick side note: those of you that don't know the Mobius models, Pegasus Hobbies just recently bought them out.
Larry.
Yeah, I saw that, yes.
Yeah.
Squarey Larry, man.
Yep, Larry and Tom. So they claim it's just the ownership's changed, the design teams and all the manufacturers who manufacture the models are still going to be the same. But that was kind of a surprise to me. I wasn't expecting that.
Well, Mobius is a small operation anyway. They were underfunded to begin with, right off the bat.
Yep. So it was kind of
made some good stuff.
Now they're funded better.
yeah. They got a lot better funding now. So
Hopefully.
yeah.
So Wes, when you airbrush, what kind of pressure?
It depends on the paint. Mostly it's anywhere between 20 and 30 psi.
Yeah, I shoot high too.
With a lot of the chrome stuff, if you use like Alclad or stuff like that, you usually go a little lower psi, 12 to 15. That's what they recommend. Gives it a better finish and lays out a lot nicer. The true color stuff is anywhere between 15 to 20 psi, and scale finishes is about 20 to 25 psi. Depends on the gun, and again, everybody's different. I'm going to sit here and tell you about all the stuff I use, the products I use. You know, you guys can go out and try them. It takes practice to get the finishes that you see here. You know, I've had people come up to me and say, well, I tried everything you did, and I still haven't gotten the finish you got. Well, did you do it, you know, steps and sequences? Well, I did everything almost all in one day. No, that's
Do you actually sand your primer too?
yes.
Wet sand it?
Yes. And that actually leads me in. So with the colors, you want to start with a good base coat or a good primer coat. And I've talked about before rough sanding the bodies with 1500 bare plastic to give it a little nice bite for the primer. Now, typically, once the primer's laid on, I'll wet sand at 1500 grit or 2000 grit. You know, stuff you can get at like AutoZone. It's a real thing. You guys can pass that around. I know you probably know what 2000 grit feels like, but it's real fine. Doesn't leave any scratches. Now primers also vary as well. The Camaro body. This is actually Mission Models primer. I know Brett and I were talking about this. To see if it would eat car plastic. Remember, we weren't too sure how it would work.
It shouldn't.
And it actually laid on really nice. This has been wet sanded twice with 2000 grit, so you might see a little bit of marks in it, but laid down real smooth. No imperfections, no problems whatsoever. Everything came out really nice. The Acura that I have up here is actually Tamiya spray can, the fine primer, and that's with no sanding at all. That's actually straight from the can, 3 coats, and it's smooth. I mean, very
You're
smooth.
talking about the Tamiya primer. A lot of the figure guys are freaks about primers, okay? The finest primer I've ever seen in my life was Flowquill and Tamiya. But AutoZone sells one in a spray can this big for $4. Bright Touch?
Yep.
Or Touch Bright, whatever Bright Touch.
Yep.
Awesome. I mean, phenomenal.
That's what I've
Straight
been
out of the
using.
can. Yep.
Yep.
Really?
I did
Yes.
a
Unbelievable.
I didn't-
I cannot get a Tamiya paint to spray right out the can.
Yep.
That-
Try the Bright Touch. It's awesome. Yes, lacquer.
Lacquer, the cans are lacquer acrylic, aren't they?
I didn't
Yeah,
like
they're
a
acrylic
combination.
lacquer, but
Acrylic
still,
lacquer.
it's still lacquer.
Bright Touch is partially owned by DuPont,
Yeah, it's awesome stuff.
and if you buy their DuPont, and like AutoZone and all that, you can get either the Bright Touch or the DuPont.
DuPont's more expensive though.
Yeah, DuPont's a few bucks more,
Yeah.
but it's the same exact stuff.
But it's cheap.
I just did a tractor truck for a friend of mine, and I did 2 coats of primer, which for the paint scheme, normally somebody like Wes or I or even Howard would put like 3 or 4 coats of primer because you're doing like 10 or 15 different colors. And I put down, like I said, very few coats of primer, and just everything laid perfectly.
But this stuff can be used on armor and whatever you want to use it on. Matter of
Bright
fact,
Touch.
Brett and I had a friend that had a hobby shop. He went and bought a case of the stuff. He took it back to his hobby shop, marked it up to $10 a can, and was selling it all day long to the guys. Yeah, Marco.
But you can just use, I'm sorry.
Can't deal.
So with Bright Touch, you'd be able to just use it straight on.
Straight out of the can.
You know, for whether the plastic or metal
Yeah,
or whatever.
doesn't matter. It's unbelievable.
Okay, I was just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, and going back, wet sanding your primers and all that, when you go lay your base color down, the smoother the primer surface is, the better your base coat's going to lay down. The smoother your base coat is, the better your clear is going to lay down. I don't polish everything that I do, just because a lot of times it'll lay out smooth and get a perfect finish that I don't want to touch, I don't want to screw up or anything. So, and that only happens maybe 2 out of 10 times that I do that, especially since I paint outside. Yeah, none of this is done in a spray booth, by the way. This is all done when it's not snowing outside. It's all done in the
Mama's kitchen's table, yeah, buddy.
more like a basement. But, it's all sprayed outside. Some of it by sheer luck, but it all depends on your prep work. The better your prep work is, the less final work you're going to have to do. I know, Howard, you've experienced that from some of the teachings that I've shown you. The El Camino, that's another, just real quick, True Colors, metallic medium green base coat. Kind of a factory color for it, but not so much. From there, once you get your base coat on, it is going to be dull for the most part. Again, on the Corvette here, it's going to have a little bit of a sheen to it, but it's still going to be flat. So if you get a color, it looks real nice, it looks real good when you pour it into the airbrush, and you're disappointed when it comes out and it looks flat, that means it needs a clear coat. A lot of paints are base coat clear coats. They will need a clear, whether it's out of a can, out of a urethane, whatever. It's going to need a clear coat. I'll bring this back once I get this done, finish all the jams up on it.
What about straining or heating your paint? Do you do that?
Heating your paint mainly goes for spray cans. Taking like a little bowl of warm water, or even some actually do boiling water, which I don't recommend. But
Pressure too much.
exactly. But take a nice warm water, a little bowl of warm water, and set your can in it for about 15 minutes or so. It actually heats the can up enough to where when you shake it, the paint thins out, and it goes in, and you can spray it real nice. Again, it depends on the can, depends on the company. Tester sucks for that.
Testers, the best bet with testers is to warm your water up in your microwave for about 2 minutes. Put it in the bottom of the bowl, in the center. Put a rock or something that'll hold it down, because testers paints tend to float.
Yeah.
I was going to say the best test for testers is to throw it against the wall. So
Yeah, but Tamiya actually sits pretty nice.
yeah,
It's only about a minute and a half.
yeah, Tamiya's and Gunsy, but House of Color, honestly, guys, if you're gonna do automotive, House of Color is fantastic.
Wes, do you strictly airbrush or something real?
Occasionally I'll go back to rattle cans. Most of my primers I do out of can, just because it's
Faster and easier.
faster. Yeah, exactly, easier. Every now and then there'll be a color that I can't get in an airbrush that I'll go back to a rattle can for. I need to bring something in that I've done. I've done some a little 29 Roadster. I don't know if you guys have seen it or not. It was actually Tamiya IJ in green, and I didn't want to go through the hassle of trying to thin the
Do you
Tamiya.
ever decant?
I've tried. Haven't had much
It's a
success
pain in the
with
butt.
it.
I love doing that. I mean, you get so much more
Yeah, I love looking
voltage,
bright orange on a
you get
Monday
so much
morning.
more flow, you know.
Right.
For $5,
And-
you've got that much paint versus for $5, that much.
Yeah, but the problem is, Tamiya, there's two colors. Like I've got the Taro, the P34, the six-wheeler, and they make that blue. And same with the Porsche, the 934 series, that orange.
The green too, the
Yeah.
cobalt green.
Yeah, the cold. That's it. That's all you can get it in.
Yeah.
Right, so my point was, you can't, if you want to spray it, you have the control of your.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that's great.
You're going to have better control with an airbrush by far. I mean, that's without saying. I started off with cans and kind of developed a technique with it. Might have to do some photos one day of that because, again, it's something you can't really do inside. But there is a technique to it, and I know people that swear by just using the cans, and they get, this kind of result out of it. And, there's people that can do it really, really well.
How many car guys are in the room right now, actually? How many of you guys use House of Color?
Tried it.
That's awesome. Yeah, but I did an airbrush seminar with the House of Color. And myself and a guy named Craig Fraser, and he's in the skull, but it's awesome. It's great paint.
I think when you and I spoke once before about using nail polish.
Yeah.
Thinking about that, there's some pretty awesome colors that I
Well,
want to do.
it's-
One of my trucks
it's
I'm
lacquer,
doing is root
you know?
beer color. And I've only seen it in the nail polish. There's
Yep.
nobody who makes this color.
It'll thin down. It'll spray.
Nail polish?
Yeah, you can spray
I'm
it.
trying to learn it from him.
Yeah.
It's
technique where he does nail polish.
A lot of it's lacquer based, so it'll thin just with lacquer thinner, just like any other.
It's thick, but it'll thin down.
So the next meeting, by the way, is going to be at Sally's Beauty Supply.
Now we got that nailed down.
I had a friend
Actually, I get a lot of my bottles. I get a lot of my sanding sticks and my
Don't
bottles
want
from
to,
paint.
Fingernail polish.
Now, where do you get your King Patterson? Where do you get your House of Color at?
House of Color, I mainly get from, it's a company called Coast Airbrush. It's West
Dave
Coast
Mott.
based,
Yep.
in Anaheim, California. Like Bill was saying, it's a little on the pricey side, so you guys that are adventurous, you might want to practice a little bit with some other colors first, because they do run anywhere between $8 and $20 a bottle for 4 ounces of paint.
Yeah. You got to buy a quart.
Yeah, it's a little on the pricey side, but you get the colors that a lot of people don't use and you don't see if you go to like a contest or just build for fun. You don't see a lot of these colors, or you have to mix colors to get something that is unique, which a lot of times people don't want to hassle with. They just want to spray it and go. But from there, once your base coat's laid on, transitioning back, your clear coats. Now, again, it's different companies, different techniques, different brands. Everybody's got their own opinion. Once I started using urethane, 2-part urethane, I never went back. Reason being is it's just like the automotive stuff. It sprays good, it hardens good, it lasts forever. I got cars that I did back in 2009 that still look like I just did them a week ago.
What's the mixture ratio on that? They got the little
Yeah, this
hardener. Yeah.
This is the clear coat. This is the hardener. It's every brand's different.
3 to 1.
This is 2 to 1 to 1. 2 parts clear, 1 part hardener, 1 part reducer. Some are 4 to 1 with no reducer. Some are 4 to 1 to 1. It all depends on what company
And how do
you
you
go
thin
with.
it?
Say I just use a RU311 from House of Color.
Well, what about putting it in your airbrush and it clogging up your airbrush when it hardens?
I mean,
Well-
you took a nap in between.
Yeah, that usually means you've either walked away, forgot about it, or it's something catastrophic has happened.
I mean, I've heard really bad stories about it.
I've seen it
If the
happen
mixture's
before.
off, you'll ruin an airbrush.
I had a friend
Been there,
who
done
Yeah.
forgot that he cleared, left the clear in the can or the airbrush overnight, and it took him. He actually got it out, but it took him 2 days
Yeah.
to clean the gun.
So what's the pot time? I mean, how long can you spray it before you start running into bad effects?
Brand new and up to, these usually have a shelf life of about 8 months of them on
No,
them.
I mean, once you mix your components.
Yeah, once you mix your components, that's what I was getting at. The newer the clear, the longer the time you have. The older it is, that you start to lose that time.
You'll have plenty of time to.
You'll have about, probably about 30 minutes or so to spray. Basically, whatever I'm spraying, I just get everything I'm ready to go. And once I mix the stuff, I don't stop. I keep spraying until I either run out of stuff to clear or I run out of the clear itself. And then right from there, I immediately go into cleaning the gun. Because like you're saying, if you leave any type of stuff in there, you're never going to get it out.
Totally
It's gonna
break it
take
down, or
forever.
just pull the needle and head.
Totally break it down.
So
Totally
I've
break
seen
it down.
I've seen your finishes. I mean,
Go on,
they're
let's-
just flawless.
come on.
Is it because of this stuff?
Partially. Now, and again, it goes back to what I said. I can tell people how to use this. I can show people how to use this, but it doesn't mean that it's gonna result like this. I spray when I clear coat. I do a minimum of 2, no more than 3 or 4. And when I say sometimes that third coat, if you do real light coats, you can get away with 4.
Because it will run.
Well, it'll build up.
It'll
It'll
build
build up to
It'll
where
build up.
it'll take your seam lines away.
Yep.
It'll take gaps away,
Emblems.
and emblems, any of that. So your first coat's going to be real rough looking. I wish I had something here that showed it, but it looks like orange peel almost. But it's the clear. It's not necessarily because you did something wrong with the base coat or the primer. Any urethane that I've come across, the first coat you do is usually a rough coat.
Like the frost, sort of like not really frosting up, but it's
No,
got a weird texture to it.
Yeah, it's
like,
got like,
it's like
orange
yeah.
peel, basically. So once you let that dry 24 hours, I let it dry 24 hours. That's usually what they recommend. And then go back and hit it with 1,500 to 2,000 grit sandpaper, just lightly enough to scuff it. You know, you're not trying to take it all the way down. Hit it with the second coat. It usually just self-levels itself out to where it lays smooth. Then a lot of times, if there's something like a piece of dust lands on it, if a piece of hair gets in it, the dog or cat walk by and put hair all over the place, most of the time, if nothing's there, it'll lay out smooth. And those are the times where I pray to God and I get lucky and I don't have to really do much polishing by the time I'm done. Other times, not so much. So, yes, it does help with the finish, but at the same time, you still have to know how to use the clear coat and how to work
What
with it.
makes you want to use that as opposed to regular clear out of a can or out of the air?
It holds up better.
Okay.
Long
time.
It's very durable. Again,
Just yellow or like.
I've never experienced yellowing. I've never experienced. It does shrink over time, but it doesn't crack. It doesn't do any of that.
Right.
Versus you spray something like Twain out of a can, it looks great for the first 3 days, and then once it dries, it just looks like a semi-gloss finish to it, to where, man, that looked great, and I'm ready to go to a contest or a show. What happened? Now you're scratching your head trying to figure out what you can do differently. Even if you heat the can up, it doesn't necessarily fix that issue. You still have that problem. Same thing if you were to spray an acrylic clear out of an airbrush or Future. Future is great for decals and sealing, like maybe certain types of pigments and oil, if you want to do that. But it'll still dull over time. It'll yellow over time.
Yep.
And I've had somebody come to me saying, "Man, I built this, a year ago, and it looked great. And I brought it out. I found it, put away in a box, and it's all yellow. Well, the white actually looks like a butternut yellow now, and it's just because of the paint. And I don't know if the mixture, the ratios, what they mix it with causes that, but that's the main reason I use urethane is because it's durable, it lasts long, and it lays good.
And what do you pay for that setup?
Right here, these 2 cans, no, this is $100.
That's $100.
This is $100 right here. Now, this lasts me about half a year, and depends on how many models you do, obviously, in that time. But I've sprayed
That's
probably
without the thinner too. That's
right.
more expensive.
The thinner is about $30 for a can that's about this tall. But again, it lasts up to 6 months for me anyway, and it could last longer. I said shelf life's about 8 to 10 months on this, depending on where it's stored. If you store it in a cooler environment, obviously it's going to last longer. If you store it in a warm environment, or if your basement's not temperature controlled, it can actually wear pretty quick. To where when you actually pour this out, it's very gel-like, and it starts to harden up on its own. And that's how you know it's starting to go bad. Or if you mix these two components together and it looks foggy, it doesn't clear up. When you mix everything together, it should look like you can see straight through. If it mixes together and still has a little bit of a haze to it, it's gone bad.
And are you using little mixing cups or syringes?
No, mixing cups. Mixing cups. Syringes are too expensive for a one-time use. For using.
I use them for resin all day long.
Well, for the, I've never had luck with it. I've always ended up throwing them out after the first time.
So
But-
I noticed you got those two robbery compound up there, and I'm glad you're up here tonight because I've been hoping to run into you or that I could talk to somebody about a problem. And I did a 41 Ford cream color, and it just painted out perfect. It was gorgeous, just like you were saying. And it dulled up. So I sanded it with 12,000, you know, and took got the shine off of it. And I started rubbing it with Novus. And I started getting real tiny scratches in it. I thought, God dang it. And it just wouldn't, and no matter, I started putting polish on it, and no matter what I did, I couldn't get them out.
Okay, now, I've had this battle before, and I've talked to a lot of the experts. I've talked to guys that polish and buff real cars. Scratches are inevitable. I don't care if it's the best car builder in the world.
And not to interrupt you, but
Yeah.
I may point out that I used a brand new t-shirt cloth before I started.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, and to that point, and it doesn't matter the builder, or even on real cars, scratches are going to be inevitable. I've done the same thing. I've polished and scratches have come up, swirl marks have come up. I've tried several different compounds. I've tried all the polishes out there. You're always going to have some sort of fine micro scratch. It's never going to be 100% like clear. And I'll sit here and tell you that right now, every car that I do is not 100% flawless. You guys may think it is, but it's not. Now, I appreciate you guys thinking it's not, but a lot of it has to do, like you said, you use the t-shirt cloth too. A lot of that has to do with the material you use. So a lot of people like microfiber towels. I kind of stray away from them because they tend to feel rough to me. Actually, I brought it. Where'd that box go? So I pretty much brought everything that I use, and I'm gonna have to backtrack here for a second, right? Looks like a microfiber cloth. Not quite. It's a little bit different material, and it's actually two sides. So this side here is actually what they recommend for putting compounds and waxes on, rubbing it into the color. Let it sit. Flip to the other side, and that's what you use to buff out the compound and everything else. Walmart.
Sheep cloth.
Yeah, you can pass that around. It's double-sided, and it's got the residue from using it on there. And that's mainly what I've used, and that's the best thing that I've found to use when buffing and even reapplying waxes once like you're done with it and you go back like a couple months later. It's the best thing that I found to use. I've tried the microfibers, I've tried the terry cloths, I've tried the t-shirts. It's just, no, they've left scratches bigger than what you've tried to get out.
Right.
With that being said, going quickly backtracking to that, no problem. We're going to get to that anyway. Once I lay the last coat of clear on, if there is stuff in that I want to try to get out, I use these, which are microfiber or emery cloth, if you will. They're not. They look like sandpaper, but they're not. I'll pass them around, and they start at 4,000 and go all the way up to 12,000 in intervals of 2. So 4, 6, 8, and 12,000. And those around. And you can see they're durable. You can stretch them, you can cut them, you can fold them, do whatever.
Where do you get those at?
They carry them here.
Oh.
They carry them here.
And
Now
he does all this at work, right? You do all this at work, right?
I wish. I wish. Not anymore. They sell them here, and they are individual though. So Most of the time they are individual. They come in the 4,000 individual, 6,000 individual. So you have to buy them all separately.
How
Yeah,
many sheets
not
are they
the
selling?
pack.
they're not in a pack. What you
That
see there.
size?
Yeah,
They
they're,
last any length of time at all? or-
I've had those for 2 years.
I'm assuming this is like wet or dry?
Yes.
You do it wet.
Wet,
I've
yes.
had mine for almost 7.
Well, that's pushing it.
Well, he doesn't model much, this guy.
Let me ask you something.
Yes.
I've tried like lacquer and acrylic and enamel, and I've sanded it. Does it hurt to cross-contaminate? Can you use one piece of sandpaper for everything if you try to sand it, or does it screw up your plastic? Or
No, I would.
impregnate it with something when you try and spray it later?
Keep it
That's
separated.
what
Whatever you're using for whatever stage you're doing, keep it for that stage. Don't like if you use something for
Enamel,
color
enamel.
sanding, or enamel, don't use it on
Lacquer,
or something
acrylic.
like
I got
that.
you.
Yeah,
Did you
it
say you
will.
airbrush also?
I've never, I don't
Okay,
have
see,
one yet.
for those who
I've still
airbrush,
got
if you're
cans.
airbrushing
I'd
metallics,
like to get away and buy a nice airbrush.
don't use that same airbrush
Ah,
spraying flats or anything else, because you will get.
Yeah, side note,
Yes.
like what Chris
Yeah.
was saying,
Fred.
I know it's not feasible for everybody, but like myself personally, I have 5 different airbrushes. One for pearls, one for clears, one for metallics, and gloss coat, yada yada yada. Everything has its own airbrush because I've had too many times
That's good, you're fine.
where I've sprayed a gloss color that has no metallic in it,
Yep.
and somehow I get metallic in it, and then I got to go back and redo the whole car. Yeah, it happened way too many times. So.
Yeah, those phone calls are the funnest.
Yeah. So if you don't have the ability to get multiple airbrushes like that, if you are going to spray metallics or pearls, at least have one airbrush strictly for that, and then one for everything else. You know, you don't have to go out and get 5 or 6, because I know they're not exactly the cheapest thing.
Well, you
in the world.
can, though. You know, those airbrushes that Brett and I were giving away, we ordered from on Amazon, and they're nail airbrushes, most of them for nails.
Oh, really?
The bodies are built by the same people that build all the other bodies, and you can get them for $25, $20.
There you go.
Great applicator brush. I mean, they're a double action. I mean,
There you go.
you're using one.
Yeah.
How's it spraying?
It works great.
Yeah, they're freaking awesome.
There you go.
For
So
those who-
there's options out there apparently
Oh yeah.
for those. But from going to those cloths, once you basically go 4,000 wet sand the body down, it's going to look dull, so the finish is not going to be shiny, and that's what you want it to do. You want it to dull the finish down. Anything that's a shiny, I got more. Anything that's still shiny is what they call low spots, and those of you that know real body work, that's what you're trying to get rid of. So you want the surface to be completely dull, because that means you've gotten all low spots, all imperfections out, and you're ready to move on. And gradually, as you go from 4 to 6 to 8 to 12, the shine comes back. However, there's scratches left in it, and that's what happens. It's not going to get all the scratches out. That's where your polishing comes into play, and it's the final step that I do. And should be the end of the presentation here before I keep running my gums too much.
Before you get to the polishing, though, what do you do with like all your detail, all your chroming and stuff like that?
All the foil work is done after color coat.
Totally afterwards?
Totally after color coat. Now a lot of guys like to clear and then put foil on. Since with urethane it has a tendency to build up, you can lose those lines.
Okay.
You can lose your trim lines, you can lose your mold line or your badge lines for your emblems. So I like to do the foil work after I put my color coat on, or use photo etch emblems in that case. Once that's on, a little bit of a polish with a Q-tip to kind of brighten it up again, and then I'll go ahead and clear it. And the clear helps seal it, and it have less tendency to come off.
Did you shoot clear over that?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Like McGuire's? I thought once you put wax on it, nothing to stick to it.
Well,
Wax is the
one.
last thing that you do.
Yeah,
Because
once the
wax is
color
the
comes
very
on,
last
wax
thing.
is the last thing. Yeah, we kind of backtracked there.
I'm sorry.
No problem. Yeah, once the color goes on, then I put my foil work on, and I clear over the foil, and then the McGuire's is the last thing that goes on.
What's foil work?
A great tool. Everything that you see here is that's chrome around the windows, the side spear.
You didn't use one of those chrome pens?
Hell no.
I tried. The chrome pen works. Problem is, it will bleed underneath the tape. If you try to tape it off,
Yes.
it bleeds underneath.
Yes.
So it works great for like doing the wheels or engine compartments or seat belts and stuff like that, or steering wheels. Works the spokes on it. Works beautiful.
Standalone piece.
It looks awesome. But if you try to do window trim pieces, as you tape it off, it'll bleed right underneath the tape.
Not to mention, it's not durable. So when you go to pick up, your car from like the window sides, it'll have a tendency to rub off or dull on you, and over time
It takes a long time though.
Yeah, it
I
does.
did my bumpers.
Yeah.
I did
So
my
foil
extra
work,
bumpers, and it
You
stayed
spray
fine.
over the foil work or not?
Yes, I do. I clear coat over the foil. So it would take.
That doesn't dull it or do anything.
No, I touch up the foil with a Q-tip, like a really quick buff over it.
Sort of like burnishing it in, or?
Well, burnish it and then just kind of polish it
So
a
you
little
don't
bit.
you put wax on it?
No. It's just strictly a Q-tip
Gotcha.
with a little just hand polish, if you will.
Okay.
Tack cloth and everything?
Every now and then I will, but when you spray outside, that doesn't make a difference. You could tack it, and next thing you know, you
And
got.
I can't believe you get a good spot like that. It comes out that good. I do it in the basement. I got a booth, and I still get lit.
Mm-hmm.
Cody, are you airbrushing at all? Yeah.
You do it outside?
No, who was the guy that had that orange Mopar in the case?
Oh, Paul.
He doesn't come here to the meeting.
No,
Yeah, that was freaking
he doesn't
awesome.
get out.
Yeah.
The one thing about the chrome, that foil, chrome foil paper doesn't last long as far as age. Once you start using it, you better finish that paper within a few months, because about 6-7 months down the road, it's trash.
That ain't no good anymore.
Yep.
What happens to it?
It becomes real brittle, if you will, to where
You can
it'll
keep it in
tear.
a Ziploc, it'll give it a little bit longer.
You're right.
Actually, you can keep it in the refrigerator too, believe it or not.
So moving quick here, I've been informed 5 minutes.
5 minutes,
Four
buddy.
minute clocks.
5 minutes.
5 minute clock. All right, these are two out of 3 stage that I use. McGuire's. I don't have a third bottle, or otherwise I would have brought the polish here. But this is compound. The third one's a polish, and this is a wax. So the compound is a little bit abrasive, so it's going to take out any scratches that the sanding left, the wet sanding of the clear left. It'll take those out. The polish is finer. It'll take any scratches out that the compound leaves. And then once that's done, the wax is basically just there as a protectant. Bunch of different companies. Mothers, McGuire's, Mothers, New Finish. There's everybody in the world. Howard, you have a special blend that I don't know what it is.
I make my own. It's called body butter.
Body
We don't want to know.
Now, Barrett Jackson is the wires, man. Barrett Jackson's
Don't Google that.
It's actually
I've tried his stuff, and I don't know what's in it, but it works. Okay, so that's a backup. But these are the 3 go-tos. You can get these at AutoZone, Walmart. The third one, the polish comes in a bottle just like this here. And they run about, the wax is the most expensive at about $20 a bottle. The compound and polish are about $9 to $10 a bottle.
Not much of a shelf life. I mean, they last forever.
They last. I've had these for I think a year and a half, 2 years now, and just a little bit goes a long way. You don't need a whole lot, and apply it. Like I said, you can apply it with the same towel. You don't have to have one for compound, one for polish. You can use it all on the same towel. A little bit on, like say if you're going to do the roof there, little bit of the compound on the towel.
Here, why don't you demo on this?
Well, I mean, hey. A little bit of a compound, put it on there, let it dry to where it hazes up, just like on a real car. If you're waxing a real car, let it sit for a couple minutes.
Wax on, wax off.
Yep, wax on, wax off. Flip it over, use the soft side of the towel, buff it out, and what you see is what you get. You can repeat this process several times. It doesn't have to be a one and done deal.
Right.
Sometimes you'll have heavier scratches that take multiple times to use. So it really is just all how you guys want to go about doing it, and it's by feel. Everybody finds their own technique. So hopefully for you car guys that are here, and everybody else that doesn't do cars, if they want to try it on something else, hopefully it can kind of help you out a little bit here. So.
Anybody who wants to practice their polishing techniques, I have a '66 Jeep Wagoneer I drive around.
That's all I got, guys.
Thank you.
So we're going to do